Camp Kilmer. Located on the Edison-Piscataway border, it had primarily been farmland and vacant acreage prior to 1942. Approximately 11,400 civilians worked for 4 months to transform the site into one of the most important staging grounds for American troops heading to Europe during World War II. The site was named after New Brunswick poet Alfred Joyce Kilmer, whose famous poem, Trees, became one of the most familiar poems of the 20th century. During World War I, Kilmer was a member of the Fighting 69th of the Rainbow Division, commanded by General Douglas MacArthur. He was killed in action in France. Camp Kilmer is the first U.S. Army installation to be named after an enlisted man. More than a third of all U.S. troops sent overseas ran through Camp Kilmer. As many as 3,000 soldiers could be outfitted with uniforms and gear in an 8-hour day. The base sat on more than 1,500 acres and housed over 1,000 buildings, including wooden barracks, 5 theaters, 7 chapels, 9 post exchanges, a gym, 3 libraries, 4 telephone centers, a post office, and a 1,000-bed hospital. During World War II, Camp Kilmer processed 1,320,481 servicemen for duty overseas. Camp Kilmer operated more like a small city than a typical Army facility. The camp had its own baseball and football teams, and the grounds hosted 20 softball diamonds, 30 volleyball courts, and 160 horseshoe courts. USO camp shows featured such top talent as Betty Grable and Benny Goodman. The camp also saw its share of celebrity recruits, such as Sergeant Joe DiMaggio and Private Red Skelton. With the ending of hostilities in 1945, Camp Kilmer became the main center for the reception and processing of soldiers returning from Europe and the Pacific, sometimes exceeding 5,000 soldiers a day. It was finally deactivated in the fall of 1949, but was briefly reactivated in the early 1950s for the Korean War. Baseball superstar Willie Mays spent some time there. Camp Kilmer's last major role came near the end of 1956, when it served as the receiving center for some 40,000 refugees fleeing the Hungarian Revolution. One last famous visitor came on October 20th, 1957. On that evening, Queen Elizabeth II of England and her entourage departed from Washington, D.C., bound for New York. It was the Queen's wish to ride the Staten Island ferry into Manhattan. This meant a highly secret layover somewhere, that somewhere being Camp Kilmer at around 4 a.m. Her royal train departed early that same morning, and the public was never the wiser. The Queen got her wish, sort of. She and Prince Philip were taken from Staten Island to Manhattan via an Army ferry. In 1965, Vice President Hubert Humphrey reactivated a large portion of the land as the Kilmer Job Corps Center, now called the Edison Job Corps Center. In the mid-1960s, 549 acres were given to Rutgers University for its Livingston College campus. A portion of the land is now the Piscataway campus of the Middlesex County Magnet School, a part of the Middlesex County Vocational Technical School System. Another 149 acres were given to Edison Township, part of which the Edison Angels Girls Softball League used for decades. Other parts of the camp are now an industrial park. Today, where anxious young recruits once stood in formation and weary veterans returned home, there are now classrooms, dorms, and green spaces. But the echoes of the past linger on. Camp Kilmer touched millions of lives then and is still shaping our youth now. It stands as an unlikely crossroads of history right here in Edison.